Yeah,
Here we are with Zach. Now, Zach, it's great to meet you. Well, we've done calls before and we've actually
yeah,
met in real life. And I thought it'd be good to do a real talk together because I really like your journey. Now, although I wasn't coaching when you came in for calls, you had calls with Mom, didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah,
Beginning with moments, yes.
I've always found your journey amazing and how you overcame it and how you're doing now. And when we met, we obviously could relate very much with the guilt angle and the beliefs we were holding. And we could, the relatability was key, wasn't it, when we first met? Because we met up in Sheffield, didn't we?
Yeah,
And it was great to see that, hey, we are face to face with another OCD sufferer, right? And that connection is like no other, Zach, isn't it? It's like this
completely.
person here understands what I've been through, what you've been through, and you can really truly connect. So, what I want to do, Zach, and I think it's going to be
Yeah,
great for the OCD community and the OCD channel, is hearing about your journey. Now, I know you've covered this before with Mom,
yeah,
but I also want to ask some questions as well, and we can sort of bounce off each other and show where we can relate from the guilt and the shame and all the different triggers that we've been through. Okay. So, Zach, can you tell me and all the people watching the channel what you would say your lowest moment with OCD was? Now, if you've covered it before, it's fine because I want to hear it again.
Definitely. Thank you for having me today as well, Sam. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I think I've suffered mostly with the relationship OCD. I think that started probably, I would remember the time even, the 2010.
Yeah.
I think it was like a past event that came from nowhere into my mind, and then just it's like I remember that I cheated. It was so vivid. I can remember all the detail about it in my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so real. So
So in that moment,
the,
Zach, how did you feel? Did you feel like there was just no way out of that?
no way, no way. It's guilt. Like I cannot simply just say how exactly built up, but it was so intense. Like I was the worst person in earth. Um,
Wow.
and I just couldn't. Within 2 days, I had to confess it. I just said, "Okay, I'm the
Mm.
worst person. I have to just say to my wife
Yeah.
that I've done this. I'm the worst person ever existed."
Zach, do you know what? Do you
Yeah,
know this is exactly why I wanted to do a real talk with you because
yeah,
think how many people are on this channel watching this video
yeah,
going, I can relate. I can relate to
yeah.
Zach. Okay. So if you were talking to them, what would you say in that moment of crisis? What would you advise to them? With the hope element, with the how you can overcome that. Because when that trigger first hits, right, it feels like your life is done. Right. I
Yeah,
remember many times when
definitely.
I was triggered, I had many cheating, OCD as well, and real event, false memory, all very similar ways of it latching. And when you look at it, in that moment, you feel like your life is ruined. It feels like you're never, ever going to overcome this thing, that you are past the point of any return, doesn't it? It feels like this thing is going to tip you over the edge and you're finished. You're going to be
Exactly.
haunted forever from this one thing. So, what would you, coming from somebody that's been there, been through it yourself with cheating, OCD, relationship OCD, what would you advise to somebody that was in your position in 2010?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say, don't confess. This is it.
Mm.
If you have done this, don't confess it. I think the best thing to do, was it real or not real, just accept it. Accept it for what happened and then just move on. I know it's easy saying that if you don't
Yeah.
know more about the recovery work.
Yeah, because and that obviously is going to take time, isn't it? Because something like that, if your life feels like it's ended, to accept it, that's just a time and patience thing, and that comes with compassion for yourself, looking at ways of how you can accept yourself as a human being, even if you've done something that you regret, even if you are, if you strongly condemn the action, if you admit that you made a mistake, it shows that hey. you can overcome that. You can learn to accept
Exactly,
yourself
Sam.
with this bad thing. So it's knowing that the door is never shut on yourself. And that comes from writing yourself off, right? That comes from, well, my life is over now. My life isn't worthwhile, meaningless. And that's such dangerous thinking, because that opens the door to depression, chronic guilt and shame, self-neglect, self-punishment, self-destructive cycle. You know, when I was caught up in the guilt and shame, I didn't give a shit about my life. Like it was pretty brutal when you think about it. You know, I just didn't give a shit. I had no interest in things. I gave up things. No interest in my health, my weight, put on a lot of weight, because it all went out the window. Because it was like, you've done this thing. It doesn't matter now, Sam. Like your life is irrelevant now, Sam. You've done this thing, and I'm sure you can relate to that as
Exactly.
well.
Exactly. Look, once it happened, I couldn't even leave the bed. I mean, you just
Wow. And did
you
you know you
can't
had
leave the
OCD
bed.
at the time, Zach?
No,
You
no, no,
didn't
no,
know
no,
it?
no, at all. I
Wow.
didn't know what hits me. I just
Wow.
I just felt I'm very bad person. I don't deserve it. I don't know why I did it as well. That's a problem because once you confess, you're going to be asked so many questions that you cannot answer because you don't know. You just want the relief, and it does not exist. It won't happen. Don't think you're going to confess and then you get the relief. Oh, I just
And
said it. No, whatever. It doesn't.
and I can relate to this as well, because I was a serial confessor. But from your perspective, why doesn't confession work with OCD, Zach?
Because it's just a complete trap. It's just bringing you back to the point. Yes, you got the relief. You're going to learn. Your brain is learning to just get the relief from that. So it just thinks that this is key. If you don't confess, you won't get the relief. So
Yeah.
go this, and then it will hunt you on every single details of it. So if you don't say it exactly how it is,
Yeah.
it won't.
And how many times, Zach, did it promise you relief? That if you just confess this one thing, then your life is at
Yeah,
peace.
that's it.
Then you
Just
can
this.
enjoy your life. Did it
Yeah.
ever deliver on that promise?
Oh, never, never,
No.
Sam, never. I had confessed all my life from when I was like I was
Wow.
born. I've confessed everything. That even
Wow.
something not related. I didn't even meet my wife. I've just confessed everything. So yeah,
Wow.
whatever it came to my mind, I just confessed it. Just did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
And
was
and then
bad.
and the trouble is, OCD moves the goalposts each time, doesn't it? And you
Oh
made a
yeah,
very good
definitely.
point. You would explain to the nth degree of what happened to the exact detail, and there would still be something that wouldn't satisfy OCD.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
OCD would not be satisfied because it may be their facial expression, right? It may be you pronounced a word slightly wrong, right? Maybe you didn't explain a sequence of event that happened in the right order. So wait, no, hang on. This happened before then, not after then. Therefore, your whole confession is irrelevant now. You've got to do it
Exactly.
again. This is so
Exactly.
relatable. This is what I was like for years.
Exactly. I mean, it's strange how you don't know what's, I mean, at the time, you don't know what OCD even is. It's just, you know there is something wrong and it is not normal, but you never expect that it is something called OCD or because OCD was just, you know, people saying it's for cleaning, OCD, perfection OCD, just like to tidy stuff OCD, but you never think it is
Yeah.
also different.
Yeah,
Uh,
and plus you're so caught up in the emotions. It's the realness, isn't it? You're so
oh yeah,
the
yeah,
conviction. You're so convinced that this is real. Like this thing happened, especially when it links to real event, false memory, cheating, OCD, because it's like
yeah,
no. Even when you know it's OCD, like even when you know you've got OCD, you're still convinced that this one's different. Like this one's the exception because this thing
definitely.
happened, right? And that is why you keep confessing and confessing and confessing, because people tell me on coaching calls, and I did this myself, that hey, no, but this one's real. So this one requires the confession. But even if it's real or not, you're still in the trap of OCD because it finds something else, something else. And
Exactly.
it's a lifetime of confession. It's as serious that as a drug, isn't it? Right?
It
The
is. It
confession
is.
drug was destroying my life, truly. because I was
Yeah.
spending my whole life confessing. I confess one thing, and then 5 minutes later, literally 5 minutes later, something else. And
Oh,
my
that's
poor partner was
so relatable. It's so
yeah.
relatable. Even it moves on because it lasted with me. I mean, when I'm saying black line in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but it lasted more than 7 years. 7 years with that,
When did you
you
reach
can
out for help?
imagine. It was probably 2000 and I mean, I've done my work by myself in 2000 and probably 18. So I've reached up help when I reached a point like I can't do it with this too many setbacks. So I've reached help in 2000. I think it's a 22 probably. Yeah, with moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's so you went 12 years just going from confession to confession.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because it just move on, just morph to something else. So
Wow.
I had partner related uh, features, whatever there. Like I used to see like oh I used maybe because of her face, maybe because the way she talks. That's why I've done this. So I started to confess different stuff. So it just moves on from
Yeah.
thing to another.
Wow.
Uh, I was stubborn as well. I'm not an easy person to give up. That's the thing. So I
Yeah.
had to research things before that time, but I didn't find something that relates. I was that close to just go to the doctors and just say, "Look, I can't do this. I need medicine."
Wow.
But I didn't. I just thought there is something wrong. I need to
Yeah.
find out what it is.
Wow.
Thankfully, I
And
found the community. Otherwise, I'm done.
and how did you get over this? How did you break down the need to confess?
I think it's one of the videos I've seen for Rob on the channel, and then it's. I still think it. I still remember it's about the cheating, OCD, or relationship, in depth of that, and then it says confessing is not going to take you anywhere. So I've
You can't
started
confess your
just
way to recovery, can you?
yeah, but it's the problem. It's you don't understand what is you need to confess and what you don't need to
Yeah.
confess. So this is the problem. You cannot know, but
Yeah.
it's literally you don't need to confess anything.
Hmm.
This is what you need to figure.
It's the need, which is the problem, isn't it? It's the needing to confess, right? And OCD takes the order from that belief,
Yeah,
right? And this
yeah,
is why
yeah,
with OCD, you will be confessing everything. If you're not careful,
yeah.
you will confess everything, right? From, you know, let's say you're told a little lie around what you bought in the shop. The guilt would be like, you need to confess that because you're lying. Like, confess. You cannot be dishonest. You cannot be untruthful, right? So OCD really gets on there. If you're not being totally honest, you have to tell the exact truth. So it's the rigidity, it's the demand that you must, you have to, you've got to tell. You can't live with this secret. You have to get this off your chest, right? But really breaking this down and showing yourself this comes with time that no matter what any human being has done, there is no need to confess. Whether it's advisable, that's subjective, right? That's an opinion, whether it's advisable, whether it's recommendable, that is subjective, right? But it's the have to. You need to confess if you have done X, Y, and Z. That's the problem. And that is why OCD
Exactly.
presses you in and boxes you in and traps you into everything that you do, you're confessing.
Yeah, it's the easy way out, isn't it? I mean,
Mm.
once you confess everything, and then you'll find something to confess. So there is no more problem. Even if she tells you, "All right, I'm happy with this. Whatever you've done, I'm okay. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't tell me anything. That's it. I don't want to listen."
yeah.
But you
And
still gonna go
And
for
when I was,
something.
this is how OCD, this is how crafty OCD is, right, Zach? When I was trying to get better, I knew that confession wasn't working. And I'd slip up. Occasionally, I would slip up and confess because it all felt like it got
Yeah,
too much. And then the guilt for confessing, the guilt for not working hard enough at recovering, it got me on that angle as well. and it feel like my whole life's ruined because I've now confessed. I was like, you cheeky fucker, you got me to confess, and now I feel guilty for confessing. It's
but
crazy.
but this is it. If you don't know, you don't know. So I mean, if it wasn't acceptance, I don't think it's about facing anything, because OCD will hijack everything. It's even if you confess or you don't confess, I don't think it is relatable that much. It is the accepting yourself is the problem for what you are. It, you'll I don't want to just say something for just reassurance purposes, but I think you, once you grow up with the journey, you will start to realize that life will give you a lot of stuff, and all humans are doing this, so you are not going to be a god or something like that. So you'll have to slip up and make mistakes, and then, but not all the mistakes that you're going to do is going to define you as a person, in any ways. But
Right.
it
So
needs time.
unconditional acceptance is crucial.
Yeah,
Right. You are,
definitely.
if you're watching this video and us two here, right? Me and Zach, well, not just us two. There's so many people in that can't stop confessing. When I was confessing, it was like I was possessed, right? It's like I couldn't be stopped. And this is why we compare it to the drug addict. I was addicted to confessing, right? So you're really not alone. You can overcome that. You don't have to just live a life of just one confession after the other, right? You can
Yeah,
stop. Yes, you're going to slip up at times, but once you realize that, hey, it's down to my beliefs, it's down to my lack of self-acceptance, because ultimately, look why you confess. You confess because you want to get something off your chest because you feel so guilty, because you can't accept yourself if you did this thing which you shouldn't have done, which is the belief. And also, if you don't confess, you're a terrible person. You can't live with yourself, right? How can you
exactly.
get on with your life and be happy if you don't confess this thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a belief. So once you realize and break down the rigidity around that and be more flexible, then you start overcoming that. Would you agree, Zach?
No, definitely, 100%. I can relate whatever you are going to say. It's like the same thing. It's like me. You're just saying. This is. I was like that. I mean,
And
I just. It's so good. It's just to speak with someone who understand, because
isn't it amazing?
yeah,
Think of the people out there, though. It's a scary thought. People out there suffering in silence with just the non-stop confessing.
yeah. I mean, you need help.
Yeah,
I mean,
truly.
whoever you are, you need help with these ones. If you're there and listening, and you are doing the confessing, you need to just seek something about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
And
going to
Zach,
help,
you've got to treat it as if,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this is
yeah,
how I treated it. I treat it as if confession would destroy my life. That's how I treated it, and that is how I
yeah,
went against it. So I thought,
yeah,
well, every time I confess, I'm pretty much sacrificing my life, right? And then over time, I realized that hey, confession isn't working, and then I didn't confess now. I haven't confessed for years because there's nothing for OCD that's scanning to confess, right? But when
yeah.
you're scared of that, it's constantly looking for things in the past, or maybe it's just latched onto that one thing. It's like you can't live life until you confess this thing. So knowing that with time you can overcome that, right? It's not just a lifetime of guilt and confessing. You're gonna have to make changes, but that can be overcome.
I think it's OCD as well will trap you in some other things. They will tell you that once you go with the recovery work, you'll find, oh, I must be not confessing because this is my fear of not confessing. So in order for me to face my fear, I've got to confess. But that's a trap. Okay. It wants
Yeah.
to keep you in this cycle. So you need to just as well realize that
Yeah.
is
That's and Zach, when did you realize that you've made huge progress? Do you
I
remember
think
a time? Not that it clicks into place, but do you remember a
no,
time
no,
when
no,
you
no, no,
thought,
no.
"Wow,
It took
I don't
time.
have the urge to confess."
Oh, it took time. I think it's after probably, I would say, a year with the moment. I
Wow.
think a year where you apply the accept. I think it's the only tool which was missing was the unconditional acceptance.
Yeah.
Once I did that, probably with time, and it needed time. It's not easy. It's
Yeah.
just not easy going to
And
accept. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to do this, but it's
and
just
this
it's
is that's
training.
Yeah, and Zach, and you can relate to this, that wow, the thoughts are thoughts and distract yourself. Wow. I remember when I first came into therapy, and I don't like, I don't like downing people. I don't like saying, oh, they're not very good. But the first help I got for OCD was like a local therapy center. And they were telling me that almost just distract yourself all the time to not confess. I said, yeah, but I can't just not confess. I can't just distract myself over and over again. And when you're then told it's just a thought, move on, it's not just a fucking thought. Like my whole life felt like it was ending in the moment. I can't just say it's a thought and move on. So you only get over this once you learn to accept unconditionally, not agree, not excuse. You're not excusing bad behavior, but you're learning to accept yourself, even if you did bad behavior, and why you would need to confess if you have done that thing. That is where recovery lies, not in constant distractions, not in thoughts of thoughts. It doesn't cut it.
100%. Yeah, 100% agree with that. But a problem, but I think the recovery work, once you cannot specify what tools you're going to use, but unconditional acceptance is the key, is the key. I think this is what changed my life. Definitely, 100%.
Wow. Wow. And how you doing today, Zach? How are
Oh,
things
brilliant.
today?
I think you can see that, Sam, as well. I think I've never been traveling for a long, long time, but now I'm probably in every place enjoying my life
That's
to the limit.
amazing. That is amazing. And how
Honestly,
are you with fear of fear? Are you scared of it coming back?
I don't care anymore, honestly.
Wow.
I don't
Your
think
story is so inspirational, Zach.
I don't really think it is coming. I'm not, look, you might face something, but I'm ready for it. So OCD is not something like gonna disappear and evaporate.
Yeah.
It will stay because it's a hardwired thing, but something. But honestly, once you know how to recover, it's so easy to manage. I mean, I'm not bothered anymore, honestly.
That's amazing. You've come a real long way, and that's credit to you and Moment. But you especially because you have got yourself into that position, right? You have took accountability for, you know what? I am not going to confess. I am going to change my perspectives on this and cut my compulsions. Momin's guided you, us as coaches, we guide you, but ultimately it's you that recover yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You have
yeah.
got yourself out of that position of the non-stop confession, life ending to living to the full. I see what you get up to. I see the life that you live, right? It sounds like there's no barriers now. There's no shackles. It's not like, yeah, but hang on, Zach, what about this thing 15 years ago you need to confess? There's none of that now.
No, oh, definitely not. Not. I think it's just so strange. I'm remembering the old times now, and if it wasn't you, we wouldn't talk again about it. But uh, thinking about it, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a waste of 10 years, but I would say it's a good build up as well. I've lived
That's
a
a very
life.
interesting point.
I have
Would-
I've had kids as well along the way, so that's a good thing.
That's a very interesting point. So would you say the suffering that you've had has taught you so much with life?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely
How?
a lot, a lot.
How?
It's only going to make you stronger. I think it's just uh, as long as you don't give up, and you know there is something you need to just you need to find an answer. I'm not saying you find an answer. You find a way to recover. This is what you don't give up. Don't give up. Just just seek
And
help. This is what you need.
yeah, and when you say don't give up, many times on my journey, and I'm sure yours, the demotivation. What would tend to happen? I'd slip up and then confess, and then to pick myself out of the doldrums again took me ages because I felt like that's it now. I'm back to square one. And I'm sure you had many of those moments that. So when you did, how did you pick yourself back up? How did you keep yourself motivated? And even when you did feel motivated, how did you do it?
I think it was the worst. Just taking yourself out of the bed is just you. I think I would give a credit to my kids as well, to my family, because I think I was doing it for them. I think they were the motivation, and I was thinking, oh no, I'm gonna do that for them. I'm just gonna be okay for them. Just keep going.
Wow. That's really
Yeah,
special. So that's, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get better.
yeah.
And
And
it was like that for me, Zach. You know, I was saying to
yeah,
myself, I would rather drop dead right now than do the confession compulsion, than do the seeking reassurance. I didn't just confess, I seek reassurance, I ask questions over and over again. There were many sort of subtle questions I was asking my partner just to sort of make sure I was getting the answer that I wanted to get relief. I had to cut those out like a class A drug that was destroying my life because that's what it was like, right? And it was like, my life depends on this because if I don't, it's a lifetime of just suffering, doing compulsions, misery, going round and round. And you're going to have moments when you just feel totally deflated as well, when you feel like you can't possibly go on. So when you're watching this video and you're looking at me, you're looking at Zach. Zach's stories is unbelievable, and to see where he is today. Like I said, I didn't see you when you first came in, but I see you like you are today. And it's not just that you don't suffer, Zach, it's your knowledge, right? That's what really stands out to me. Not your amazing memes, by the way. Your memes are amazing. But the
rubbish.
knowledge that you have, because Zach is in one of the WhatsApp groups, and you could just tell, like, he gets it, right? And he hasn't just got it from reading a book and then that's it. He's got it because he's had to live that. Yes, he's had to take principles from books, but he's had to
Yeah.
interpret it himself and gone, okay, how can I apply this philosophy to my situation? And he's got himself out of a very, very sad, very low place to a point of living life, which just shows that it can be done.
Yeah, everybody can do it now. I mean, the people are at this now at this era are lucky.
Mhm.
So I mean, don't give up. Just don't give up, and then just keep doing it.
And
You know, it
recovery really
works.
comes from within, doesn't it? It really comes from within. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you can have all the coaching tools in the world. You can do all the things in the want to try and recover, but ultimately it comes from what you do, right? You
yeah.
can watch all the videos on this channel, every video, over and over again. But if you're not doing everything about it, you won't recover. So it really shows that it comes from what you do, the input that you put in, and that's crucial.
I think looking at other people's stories as well is important, Sam. I'm looking at yours, Nick, Momin, Rob. I mean, the other coaches, Elliot and Gemma, probably Maha as well. Uh, just looking at the stories, just give you a push. You know, just looking how the at the amount of suffering you all gone through. It just
Yeah.
also motivate you. It just not. I still remember watching your videos from the beginning. All right, your video. I mean, you can also relate to this one. You can see yourself how much you grow up to this. You know,
Yeah.
it just tells you how much you grow up to it. I mean, amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, people will relate.
Yeah.
And looking at first video you made and to this one, brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly,
Exactly. Now, Zach, what would you have done, right? Let's say you are where you are in 2010 and you were watching this video of me and you talking, right? Me and another guy talking about all what you're going through. What bit of advice do you think would have changed your life in that moment? And whatever that
I
advice
just
is, what would you give?
I'll just book a one-to-one session with you, Sam. No, really, I will just reach out to the community. You know,
Yeah.
or reach
Because
out to help. I don't think someone else did cover that. I mean, I was around and I can see who is there, but it's only this. I think our community did only cover the acceptance in details, unconditional acceptance in details, and gone this as a tool, because there are a lot of people who are struggle to just do it through the EPR and exposures and whatever the case. But you know, this is the missing tool.
yeah, and there can also be a stigma in reaching out for help, right? Especially when you got themes, all the guilt related themes, you know, the themes that me and Zach suffered with, because it's almost, you feel embarrassed to even reach out, right? I
Oh
had
yeah,
like a ego thing where it was like, oh, you know, I don't really want to get help. And I'm sure you can relate to that as well, Zach. Even
oh
though
yeah,
I was
yeah. At the
desperate for
beginning,
help, it was
yes,
like
definitely.
I don't want to admit defeat kind of thing. I didn't
Oh
want
yes,
to admit that I need help with my mental health.
Yeah, definitely. It happened with me. The first thing that happens is I was scared going to the doctors and tell them what's happening, and then they tell me, oh, that's the problem. Your relationship is zero. You need to end it up,
Wow.
and then that's it, done and dusted. But I didn't do
Wow.
it.
Zach, that's super interesting. We definitely need to meet up again and have another
Yeah,
drink
definitely,
again. That
definitely,
was
Sam.
great fun. Zach, I think we've covered most things there.
Yeah,
I think that's super relatable. We've got 6 minutes left, so I don't want this call to suddenly end. So we'll start wrapping up now. But if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like. I hope you found Zach's story very relatable. He has done previous videos with Momin and also with me and Momin, talking about his journey in further detail. If you are interested in reaching out for coaching calls, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and you get in touch with one of the coaches here and we will book you in as soon as we possibly can. And I just want to leave you on that you're just not alone, right? There is so much hope. What I would have done to watch a video like this when I was stuck, I'd probably be in tears. I truly would be in tears thinking, wow, it's not just me. It's not just me going through the hell of OCD. It's not just me going through the torturous cycle of non-stop confession, round and round and round. And you're waking up, and I'm sure Zach can relate to this. I used to wake up, and it's like I was drowning. Like from the moment I opened my eyes, I was like, it's just a day full of either confession or a day full of guilt, day full of panic. And you're not alone if you're going through that. All right. There's so much hope you can overcome that. Yes, just time and patience. We can't highlight that enough. But there is really light at the end of the tunnel.
yes,
Anything you want to
truly.
add to that?
That's fantastic. I mean,
Cool. Cool.
amazing.
Zach, it's been lovely speaking to you.
And
And we will
you,
speak
Sam,
again. Bye bye, Zach.
definitely. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye.